I haven't really talked about 14.5 patch, okay? Let's do a quick rundown what changed this patch. So first up, Velvet, she will get slightly less stacks from doing grabs pretty much, that's it. And then this is the biggest nerf here. Royal Maelstrom, so the damage reduction and the ability is going to be much lower. Velvet benefited a lot from like Kraken Slayer being her first item, because Kraken Slayer got really buffed, and Strikebreaker being better. Like, Velvet's damage is still gonna be very high. This is just so, like, you can kind of fight back more. So, like, if you have an early skirmish, let's say level 3, you're Lee Sin, and you walk into a Reaver against Velvet, like, maybe you can beat Velvet by out-attacking her down, even when she's Ying. Brand Jungle. Brand Jungle gets a clear speed increase, and then a nerf to R. This is to nerf support and mid lane Brand in low elo, and to make Brand Jungle not lose as much win rate, okay? I think Brand is still good. I think Brand's gonna be still good. This is like, whatever. The ult cooldown nerf is just placebo. The R damage is also very little. I honestly think this is whatever. Evelynn. High elo focus nerf. Nerfing 5% AP ratio on Q. This is an ability that she procs 4 times. This is obviously going to be damage decrease in Evelynn. She might lose some skirmishes now. She might have less lethal charge hold when she's ulting someone. Jarvan, armor growth up, gonna be a bit better buff for top lane than jungle due to levels. And then Q jungle strike down by 2 seconds, which is a massive buff on the ability he maxes first. And obviously he wants some CDR in the build. He's probably wants Sojin or Cleaver or whatever. So yeah, this champion will slowly come back. Kayn. Gonna be more healing on Pasu and more healing on R when he goes Darken. I don't know, honestly, I don't really have an opinion on Darken Kayn. Like, I never see it. It's so hard to assess. Kog'Maw, so there's a couple of buffs here, but the most important one is the E. So Pasu is gonna get 10% MS pretty much at all ranks, which is like, okay, it's nice. Kog'Maw passive unironically does a lot of damage, by the way. But you obviously, like, the problem with the passive is that you don't want to die, right? So it's kind of like, I guess it's probably like a low elo buff if a Kog'Maw gets caught off guard or whatever. The Q is placebo. The E is the biggest buff here. So 10% slow might not seem a lot, but I actually think it is. Like 40% slow is a lot for a rank 1 ability. And the thing about Kog'Maw is that he cares about utility because his problem is not doing damage. He has great items like Rageblade and Terminus being buffed lately. I really think it's like a lot about utility and surviving. And honestly, this like can make him survive a lot more, can make him land more autos, can make him kite people better, okay? So I honestly think this is a big buff. And then the R buff is very small because Kog'Maw doesn't buy a lot of AD in the build. He buys a lot of attack speed in the build. So it's like... And the R buff is only good in, like, I would say probably level 6 and 11. Because the later the game goes, the worse Kog'Maw R gets on AD builds. Because he doesn't really use this ability that much, IMO. Maokai, 5 MS, straight up nerf. Q, bonus damage to monsters up. This is to not nerf jungle Maokai as much. W, twisted advance, 1 second cooldown on flat. I think these are like decent nerfs. Combined with the support item being nerfed, it's probably going to be at least 2% win rate, in my opinion. Maokai right now buys Witness Boots and buys like the support item that runs giga fast, so you need to nerf move speed. But honestly, I really wish Riot would just nerf Witness Boots. Those boots are really OP. Nidalee, same. She's too fast with like Sorks and Leechbane being first item, move speed down. This is also nerfed to top lane Nidalee. Q takedown also down, so Leechbane execute is not gonna like nuke people as much, that much, but yeah. I think Nidalee is still good, and I think Maokai is still good for solo queue. Then we have Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai will now have better attack animation. Rek'Sai Q will now attack faster as well. Rek'Sai W will now damage monsters, so you can use W as a damage tool even when you don't knock up something in jungle. E bug fix, so a lot of bug fixes pretty much. Then the E will get early game damage, so this is going to be clear speed and fighting power early game, and then monster damage is also going to be up rank 1, so clear speed increase as well. And then the most normal buff is this one. R will now deal damage like a normal ultimate ability. Decent Rek'Sai boss, but I saw on Reddit that Rek'Sai has a bug again, so... Senna! Bro, someone tell me, okay, like seriously. As much as I like to also defend Riot's balance team, someone fucking tell me how this is acceptable. Okay, look at this. 14.4, we're looking at last patch. Senna, S tier. Bronze, S tier. Silver, S tier. Gold, S tier. Platinum, S tier. Emerald, S tier. Diamond, S plus tier, of course, with 53% win rate to 54, by the way. Master plus, 53%. Challenger, maybe low sample size, 51. Okay, it's only 1,000 games. This is insane. She's not weak anywhere. She's broken at every elo in League of Legends. How is this the only nerf we're doing? How? This is like Maokai all over again, where they failed to nerf Maokai like 3 patches in a row, and then Freak goes to patch rundown and says, well, we only missed the Maokai nerf for 1 patch. No, Freak, you missed it for like 2 patches at least. Like, let's not kid ourselves here. Now, are we doing the same pattern with Senna? We're really doing placebo nerfs these days? Like, what? I don't believe this is enough to nerf. Like, I don't. Seraphine. So, there's a lot to uncover here, but ultimately the TLDR from me reading this is that I think she's just strictly worse at everything. ADC Seraphine is getting nuked here. Maybe support will not drop as much win rate, but I also think support Seraphine will drop win rate. The TLDR here is that, well, MS being 5 up is nice, but everything else is pretty much getting nerfed. High AP Seraphine builds, so we're talking about like 600, 700 AP in late game, are getting really nerfed a lot. Passive straight up nerfed. The Q, while it's gonna fly faster, it's strictly nerfed because the cooldown on Q in rank 5 is just so much worse by 1 second, which is huge deal. As an ability you wanna spam a lot. Mana cost going up, the damage is pretty much the same. Maximum damage amp is removed on minions, so Q is getting a huge wave clear nerf, okay? This is going to be a huge wave clear nerf on champion. You look at W, like the cooldown on rank 1 is nice. Like, so W is better early for sure. But the problem with W is that it just scales like poop late game. Because Seraphine bonus moon split right here, the scale nerf from 4 to 2. The E is the only ability here that actually is getting buffed. So E of Seraphine is going to be really good here. However, E is also getting a wave clear nerf. So if E wouldn't have a wave clear nerf, then probably the meta on Seraphine would become to max E first. But because it has a wave clear nerf, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but yeah, the E is really good now, and pretty much you want points into E. So Seraphine build is now gonna be either max E first, or you're going to be maxing Q first, and then E second, okay? And then the R is also getting gutted. I don't know. To me, like, I would say passive nerf, Q nerf, W mainly nerfed, and R nerfed, and then it's like E is buffed, and like, she gets 5 MS. I'm expecting this champ to be just probably trash. Honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do another buff next patch, or like more changes or whatever. We have Sivir, 4 armor. Sivir is like now one of the tankiest champions in on ADC class in level 1, like early game. I still think Sivir is trash. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Smolder. So we have this Smolder changes actually mean a lot, okay? So first of all, this is the most important change. So now the Q will not be 6.5% targets max health anymore. It will be based on how much skills you have. Now here's what I think. I think AP Smolder is trash because 1% AP skill is too bad. You need to have 600 AP to do 6%, right? I think this is trash. It's too many items and AP Smolder is so weak at so many stages of the game. Tank Smolder is also trash because you can't go Iceborne Gauntlet anymore because you do no burn damage. The best Smolder build will be stacking Raw AD. And stacking Wall in general, the passive. So, Essence River, in that sense, got buffed compared to Trinity Force. Navori is amazing. Lianji got worse. Maybe Mana Moon is gonna become a thing. Sojin will obviously still be the best item on Smolder. Basically, yeah, this is... So the build is going to probably change a little bit. The E... Smolder is weaker in mid-game for the most part until you get to like late game kinda, and then he's just turbo OP. So if the game goes to late game, he's now a Kale on steroids, okay? He's actually a scaling champion now. He's not just I spike at mid game and I end the game. The E is, I think, too big of a buff. I definitely think Riot is going to change this number to 75 in the future. That's what I think. E is just straight a buff that every stage of the game, this ability will do a lot more damage now when you use it offensively. The R is also, well, it depends. If you hit the mid part, it's buffed. If you don't hit the mid part, it's nerfed in damage. But the self-heal is basically always buffed because you get enough AD for this to be bigger than this. Okay. So yeah, the E is probably the biggest buff. The Q depends if your game goes to heavy late. The R is like, depends how you land it. Twisted Fate, this one I honestly think, I mean I could be wrong, but I genuinely think Twisted Fate could be like that, in high elo at least. Like, I really think this is such a huge damage decrease on the champion. Like this one right here, 75 bonus AD to 20. This is a really big nerf. Top lane TF could still be fine. AD TF mid lane, I think really bad. Can't really like stat check mages as much. ADC TF also getting a big nerf here. It's gonna depend. Champ is probably still viable, but I really think this is a huge nerf. He might be gone, honestly. Vayne got a nerf, but it's not enough. 15 MS loss on passive, and then Q tumble being a bit worse early game because of higher CD. This is mainly an early game nerf on Q. Once you reach level 9, you're fine because you max this first. Obviously, top lane Vayne is getting less of a nerf than ADC Vayne due to this. I just think this is not enough. This is like, Vayne is still very good when she has a good matchup. These nerfs only like are impactful in matchups where you're struggling. If you play against like, I don't know, Jax, Aurelia, Auction, maybe someone plays Draven top, maybe someone plays Lucian top, I don't know, man. Veigar. This champion received a decent buff. It's noticeable because I played it, but it's not enough because in high elo the problem with Veigar is that you can't land your W and you can't land your E. So the Q buff is very noticeable. The ult buff is only good on rank 1. The rest don't matter because your ult is already low cooldown. I think in low elo people are gonna be happy playing Veigar. I think in high elo this will not move him much. At least it shouldn't. Vax. So Vax, yeah, although Veigar did get some like love with items changes, right? Like Seraph's got a 5 haze buff. Vax, think this is a really placebo buff. I don't know how rat buffs are this little. 5% AP and 10 base damage, like nice. If you're laning against Yasuo, you're happy. Or if you're laning against Aurelia, you can proc passive a lot and then this stacks up to a lot of damage. It's just such a situational champion. Wukong, I think one of the biggest buffs of the patch is Wukong. This passive just got like twice better, literally. This passive is cracked. It's so easy to stack, the stacks give you so much, and the stacks are so easy to keep up now. Huge buff. Yorick. So the E of Yorick is gonna get nerfed, and then the R is gonna get changed. So if you play a champion that has AoE damage on spells, it's actually a buff to you. And if you play a champion that mainly kills Yorick with auto attacks, so we're talking about maiden durability here, it's gonna be a nerf. So the way you read this is if you play Jax or Aurelia, which are the Yorick counters, the maiden will actually be tankier against them because of this. But if you play Aatrox, which has his Aatrox Q is an AoE ability, Aatrox will be much better into maiden because Aatrox Q will now damage maiden much more than before. Zac, fucking slap on the wrist. This does nothing. It obviously nerfs Zac top lane a bit more than jungle. It's a joke of a nerf. Oh. It's such a joke of a nerf. So last little position, this is the crown of support. It might be bought a bit more, but the buffs still seem a bit weak to me. The item is trash. Dream Maker, this item is buffed because from level 10 onwards, the item will be better. So if you play Nami, I think you're happy. It's only nerfed in early game. Like from level 1 to 9, it's slightly nerfed. Frozen Heart, yeah, items finally balanced now. I think this is the last Frozen Heart nerf. Heart still, I don't know. I don't know if people are gonna buy this or not. It's whatever. This item got nerfed because of Maokai, so this is another nerf to Maokai. This item was turbo OP. It's gonna be much weaker now. Spirit Origin, this is relevant. Some for Aegis, slightly better. I still think probably on the weak side, but slightly better. Lichbane, still amazing. Storm Surge, still trash. Rocket Belt, better than before. And that's the patch.